and the style that you have had in answering your critics, they have truly shamed themselves on their other sites, and you have conducted yourself in a very admirable way, and I just wanted to compliment you on that.
Oh, well, thank you. I don't have it in me to just sit and just, put on the gloves and duke it out with anybody.
You're not mean.
And so it's just like if I've offended somebody, I'm sorry. Most of the time, most of my attacks are coming from the ADL crowd, the Jewish crowd, who calls me anti-Semite just because it's just silly. And, it's just silly. And, I could trace my grandmother's line back to King David, the original line and not the Khazars. And so they're calling me anti-Semite. It doesn't work.
It doesn't work. There is nothing.
And so they have to find something else.
Yeah.
And the whole thing is because whenever I mention the Talmud online, it just stirs up a hornet's nest. Every time I even go near the Talmud. And so next week, I'm going to do the whole show on the Talmud. Yeah, that's just what I do because, you know what, last year when the Omegans were giving me a really hard time and I put up OmegansAreLiars.com, I turned around and put up the SarahSucks.com. And so that's just part of, if they're going to hassle me to death, I'll just put up another website. They're not going to intimidate me. It just motivates me. Because when you're really pressing their buttons.
That's true. They give away what their hot buttons are by their attacks on you.
Oh, yeah. And the Talmud's always been a real dear one to them. They don't want people knowing what's in the Talmud.
No.
And you know what? When you do go digging for info about Talmud and research, you got to be careful about who exactly you're getting your info from yourself. Because a lot of it can be some of these white racist groups that have some really good information, but then you got to gag and spit out the racism. I just have nothing to do with that. I detest that. As far as I'm concerned, there's two groups in the New Testament, those who follow the Lord and those who don't. Maybe it was an issue in the Old Testament times about keeping your nation clean. The Israelites were not allowed to intermarry. And so there was a lot of what people would term as racism because they weren't allowed to marry outside their race. But that was foregone in the New Testament. What you've got in the New Testament is those who follow the Lord and those who don't. Those who accept His redemption, salvation, and those who don't. And I really just don't think it has anything to do, has any place amongst believers today. But I still get it from other believers. And, they're out there. They've got their own sites on the net and stuff. So you just got to chew the grass and spit out the hay.
A good way of putting it. Do you have any particular feelings about this date of Rosh Hashanah coming up here?
Well, I know all the pre-trib crowds waiting for the rapture. I mean, they always do on Rosh Hashanah. I was in there for 30 years myself. The Feast of Trumpets, they're all hyped up. I haven't gone near the boards yet. I mean, I know that there's what is that, 4 doves, or I don't know what it is, something doves, 5 doves, that considers me the Antichrist because I'm against the pre-trib. But they're probably all over there hyped up on it. Oh, my kid told me this, and that was a revelation, and all this kid stuff. They even drag their kids into it. But yeah, I mean, I don't see anything this year on it. Lord hasn't told me anything, and I certainly haven't been led to think anything of it this year. I know the only thing I was looking for September of 2005 was possibly an attack on the Temple Mount in Israel. And there was an assassination code for Bush. And I wasn't going to help him out on that. I wasn't going to post it. If it's going to happen, let it happen. I help these people out too much. You know what? It seems like sometimes I'm in the middle of all these factions. Because you've got one side, when you're attacking one faction, the other side's pushing you and cheering you on. And then when you switch sides and you start working something else, and the other side's cheering you on.
That's true.
It's amazing how it works. And so I'm just like, I'm not posting anything. You guys fight it out. I'm not helping anybody. Well, I'll warn the Lord's people what He leads me to warn them about.
Your sites are original. People go to your sites to get original material, and then they copy it over onto theirs.
Yeah. That's because I never take anything off. When I first got on the Internet and I started learning Wake Up America, Robert Howard, or I think that's his name, or Howard Robert, who ran the Wake Up America, he just sent me an email the other day, asked him to do a show, and he said, no, He doesn't do radio shows. He doesn't feel like he's any kind of an expert. And here's the guy I learned from.
Huh.
You know, Robert Howard, one of these big guys, one of the biggest sites on the internet, Wake Up America, hardtruth.com or something, Wake Up America. And so that's what I do is I started gathering links and information and putting it on my Watcher File site, and have never taken them off, so that people that start on the internet, like if they came on just today or tomorrow or yesterday, and they're back at square one, they have all the original information. They can go to my sites and get it. Same stuff I learned years ago.
Another thing that I like about your program and your sites is that although you fearlessly take just about anybody to task, you're always quite respectful when it comes to references to the Lord, to Jesus, to the Scriptures, and even when it comes to discussing other people's religions, you're not insulting. And some of these other sites, they're just all over the place, and they get irreverent.
Yeah, well, I just don't think that's the way. I usually do things the way the Lord leads me to. Obviously, sometimes I act more in the flesh than I should. I'm sure at some points, because you just sometimes you've had enough. You get snippy with people. You know, I know I got, you know, you just, sometimes I'll send out some snippy email comments, you know. Why is it my problem? You know, somebody sends me an email complaining about how they stumble on websites, don't know if they're true or not, and, you know, sometimes they just want you to put an alien in their lap and then they'll believe it. You know, but, you know, for the most part, as far as dealing with people that don't believe in the Lord, don't see things the same way we do, you're certainly not going to win them over trying to shove your viewpoints down them. The Lord never forced himself on anyone.
No.
And so this, you know, I just don't feel led to become attacking. I don't want to become what I detest the most, and that's what I experience daily, being attacked by those who have their own viewpoints and demand that I accept their viewpoints. And that's basically what it is. All of your attackers, they attack you because you won't adopt what they think.
Yes.
And so that's why they become hateful and angry. And I just can't stand dealing with that. And, you know, I've spent some time on the blogger this week just trying to get the brethren to unite, to love each other despite differences, agree to disagree.
I liked on your blog about everything that you learned from Noah. That was great. I copied that and sent the link out to different people. Yeah,
a lot of people just like it when you just, you know, that one in the Psalm 23rd. Just posting some things to give them some encouragement, something to think about.
Probably most of the people that go to your site do check the blog, but if anyone forgets, that's an important place to go every day.
Oh, you know, it's global. It's literally global. I mean, it's just like, you know, one of my other, the Sherry Shriner side of the Watcher Files of the radio, that blogger is global. I mean, there's thousands every month that will track to that thing. I mean, it's probably the same thousands every day. But yeah, and usually if it's sometimes when you post something, it strikes a lot of interest in people. You'll hear from people you've never heard from. Like this week is one of those times where I've heard from a lot of different people I've never heard from before that appreciated the post on just the heat, something simple that I put up there about the heat.
Yeah.
You know, switching to electric space heaters instead of gas, and just simple things. You know, that people really appreciate.